Why does this episode not mention any of this season's storylines? Which Oscar-winning film does this episode pay tribute to? Which line from a famous Christmas story does Jamie Tart misquote? I'll be answering all these questions and more in this video. Welcome to Square Eyes, a channel where we recap, review and take a sideways look at your favourite TV shows. In this video we'll be taking a look at the 4th episode of Season 2 of Ted Lasso, called Carol of the Bells. Apple TV summarises this episode by saying, "It's Christmas in Richmond, Rebecca enlists Ted for a secret mission, Roy and Keeley search for a miracle, and the Higginses open up their home." I'll give you far more detail in my full recap. Let's jump straight in. The episode opens in the dressing room, with the players giving their Secret Santa gifts to each other. Bumber catches knitted Colin the scarf, which he says he does because it soothes him. Looking at the Welsh dragon detail and those tassels, he's also got a lot of talent when it comes to knitting too. In the office, Ted, Higgins, Beard, Nate and Keeley are catching up, and we find out that as well as introducing Secret Santa, Ted has allowed the players to have a half day on Christmas Day, meaning they get to have the afternoon with their families rather than spending the whole day preparing for the next day's game. Beard says that a win on Boxing Day will mean that the team finally has more wins than losses, as the camera focuses on a whiteboard behind them that shows the team's record. We can see a lot of time has passed since the last episode, as the team have played 19 more games since episode 3. They're still drawing too many, have lost a few and only won 4, so they're far short of the kind of form they need if they want to be promoted back to the Premier League. Then they start talking about their plans for Christmas. Nate is spending it back with his family, including his father who hates everything. Beard is going to a Christmas ritual at Stonehenge with Jane, despite the fact they've broken up, so it sounds like his private life continues to be a chaotic mess. Keeley's planning to have a sexy Christmas, where her and Roy are going to get dressed up, sip cocktails, listen to crooners, and then have a classy time. Then Rebecca arrives in the office and trumps everyone's plans by telling them she's going to a party at Elton John's house. Higgins has a more subdued plan for the day. He's opening up his house to the players that don't have a family in town, so they have somewhere to go at Christmas. While it's a lovely gesture, he usually only gets a couple of players that take him up on the offer, so he's expecting a quiet day. Higgins invites Ted to his house, knowing he'll be alone in his flat for the rest of the day, but Ted intends to be on a FaceTime call with his son all afternoon, so they can spend Christmas connected through the internet, so he politely declines. He also refers to Higgins as Higgy Smalls, which is a great nickname. Keeley's plans for Sexy Christmas are scuppered before they even begin, when Roy has to look after his niece Phoebe. Roy apologises for their plans being cancelled, and they rearrange a sexy 28th of December instead. Sam is the first player to arrive at Higgins' house, and he brings a traditional Nigerian dish of jollof rice and goat meat, which causes Higgins some concern until Sam reassures him he used chicken instead of goat. Teddy's opening up Christmas presents with Henry, his son, over FaceTime. He's brought him a drone, and obviously Henry's excited to go out and play with it, meaning he no longer wants to stay on the video chat with Ted. So Ted ends the chat and is left alone in his apartment on Christmas Day. Phoebe has been upset all week and hasn't been willing to explain why. Eventually she opens up that it's because a mean boy bought her toothpaste and mouthwash as a Secret Santa present because her breath is so bad. In an attempt to set her mind at ease, Keeley tells Phoebe to breathe on her, expecting her breath won't be that bad, but her reaction shows that it's obviously rancid. Roy thinks Keeley's overreacting, so he asks Phoebe to breathe on her too, but he looks like he's about to throw up when he smells it. They decide to try and solve her breath problem by knocking on doors until they find a dentist in Roy's posh neighbourhood. Teddy's drinking alone, watching It's a Wonderful Life, and looking very sorry for himself, when Rebecca comes to pull him out of his slump. She takes him delivering presents to have written to Santa. It's not exactly clear how Rebecca ended up with these letters in the first place, but it's a heartwarming scene, and I suppose you're not meant to think too much about the practicalities. Roy, Keeley and Phoebe tour around his neighbourhood looking for a dentist, but receive a sequence of shaking heads instead, until eventually, at the last door they're willing to try, they find a dentist who recognises Roy and invites them in. She takes a look in Phoebe's mouth, asks a few questions, and works out that it's her new antihistamines that are causing the problem. In what seems like a huge coincidence, the Uzi guy from the pilot episode, and the barbershop from a couple of episodes ago, is also sat around the Christmas table. And the actor who plays the Uzi guy is also the real-life son of the actress who plays the dentist in this scene. At the Higgins' house, they have to deploy every flat surface they have available as makeshift tables to accommodate all the players that have come for Christmas dinner, including a surfboard and a pool table. The players all brought dishes with them from their home countries, and it's a happy occasion for everyone. Roy pays off a pharmacist to open up on Christmas Day so he can get Phoebe the medicine she needs for her terrible breath. Then Roy, Keeley and Phoebe pay a visit to the boy that sent the nasty Secret Santa gift and card to Phoebe. Replicating the famous scene from Love Actually, Phoebe delivers a message to the bully about how her breath will now be fixed, but he should be ashamed of his behaviour, but she forgives him and asks him to do better. Then they walk off, with Phoebe happy and holding hands with Keeley and Roy. Higgins says a few words to his family and the assembled players, and it's actually quite touching, as he talks about how family can be the ones we're born into, but also the family that we make along the way. After his toast, there's a commotion outside that causes them to draw back the curtains. It's Ted, Rebecca, and the buskers they met earlier in the episode. Rebecca and Ted belt out a song, while everyone else gets out on the street and dances along to them. Everyone's having such a good time that even Higgins getting out his bass doesn't spoil the fun. There's also a guest appearance from Santa, that only Higgins' little boy notices him. I'm really pleased they decided to make a Ted Lasso Christmas special. It was a brave decision, as the episode was originally released in August, so it didn't make a lot of sense to put it out then. But the nature of a streaming service means that once it's out there, it's available whenever you want to watch it. And I suppose there's no reason you can't enjoy this episode whenever you want to. Ted Lasso is a feel-good kind of TV show anyway, so doing a Christmas show does fit with the emotions the programme creates in the audience, as that's the kind of feel you tend to go for with Christmas episodes. The storylines in this episode all help to create those Christmassy feelings, with Rebecca and Ted's story lifting Ted out of his slump by going out and helping others, Higgins opening up his house and helping others from different cultures to come together and share their day with each other, and Roy, Keeley and Phoebe's story borrowing bits from Love Actually to solve Phoebe's stinky breath problem and teach a bully a lesson. None of it was earth-shattering stuff, but that's not the point of Christmas episodes. It was about creating warm, fuzzy feelings in your tummy, and my tummy felt suitably warm and fuzzy after watching this, and I can be pretty Scrooge-like at times. There weren't any major developments in the plot in this episode, intentionally, so it was really just a chance to spend more time with the characters and enjoy their company in a Christmassy setting. You could see that as a strength or a weakness of the episode. Personally, I enjoyed the lower stakes and more relaxed storytelling. We've not seen a lot of Higgins this season so far, so it was nice to see he was a fairly major part of this episode. And his speech at the table towards the end of the episode really summed it all up and hammered home the warm fuzziness I talked about earlier. My favourite line in this episode came from Jamie in Ted's office when he said, "God bless me, everyone," paraphrasing the famous line from Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol, but giving it a more self-centered twist. He has a tendency to get popular sayings wrong, so it makes perfect sense that he would mangle an iconic Christmas quote, particularly by making it all about himself. When Higgins lists the places the players are from around the dinner table, the places he mentions are actually the hometowns of the actors in the scene. The cat photo at the Higgins' house is of Cindy Clawford, Higgins' family cat that was repeatedly mentioned and passed away during Season 1. Rebecca's tinsel Hi Ted is a callback to Season 1, when Ted and the players spelled out Hi Boss on the training pitch. The tracking shot at the dinner table at the Higgins house is a homage to the 1927 film Wings, the first film to win a Best Picture Academy Award. This is the first episode to feature a different opening credit sequence, with the regular one replaced with claymation characters instead. There was also a claymation short film release called Ted's Missing Moustache around Christmas of 2021. I'll post a link to it in the description. In the final shot of the episode, you can see that the snow is only covering the area directly in front of the Higgins' house. So either it was a ridiculously localised snow shower, or the production team cheaped out on the snow machine a bit. If you look, the car in the foreground is sprinkled with snow, but the cars just a little bit further down the road don't have any on at all. This is one of the 2 episodes in Season 2 that were added after the rest of the season was written. Apple wanted a 12-episode season instead of 10, like they had in Season 1. This is why no major plot points advance in this episode, so the next episode is likely to pick up the story threads that we saw being developed in the first 3 episodes of the season, and ignore the events of this episode. Thank you for watching my recap and review of Episode 4 of Season 2 of Ted Lasso. I'll be posting more videos in the next few days, so please subscribe to make sure you don't miss any. Goodbye.